Hello, I'm Clint Walker and this is Real Estate Appraiser Secrets. And today we're going to talk about my idea that listing agents need to make pre-listing appraisals part of every single listing they do, with maybe two exceptions. We'll talk about the exceptions in just a minute. So I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about this in terms of what we do in buyer representation and the common professional expenses that we make that we make practically a part of every purchase for our buyers, and how with many of these, like a home inspection, we consider these expenses, I mean, they're technically optional, and we would advise our buyers of that, but we would strongly advise them also to never scrimp on that expense, because this is an expense that is hiring a professional who has a very specific level of expertise to provide them with information, even if they're not going to like the results of that information. Hello, appraisals. But because we know how valuable this information is to protect their interests, okay? So I was thinking about this, and I was especially thinking about this in relation to what I've been seeing as like the fees for inspectors lately, which many have been surprising me at how expensive these things have gotten. And so I was thinking, when I saw these, I was like, why aren't we making appraisals part of the listing package, the pre-listing package? And then I took my National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics update class, and I read in this class, I think it's like the Rule 2 in the Code of Ethics. I can't remember which one it is, but it's in there. And if you take the class, you'll see it. The NAR Code of Ethics class says that realtors should not be suggesting prices to their clients for what to list their house at. That I guess it puts some sort of liability on us. Hopefully I'm not misremembering this, but if you had taken the class recently, you know I'm wrong, check me on it and tell me in the comments, and I'll make a retraction. But if I remember correctly, this class said realtors should not be putting prices on houses, that they should either let the seller name the price, or they tell the seller to get an appraisal so the appraiser can name the price. There are actually some laws about doing appraisals and what rises to the level of an appraisal, and how only an appraiser should be doing that. But as agents, we're supposed to just present our sellers with an array of comparable sales, make a suggestion, and either let them name the list price or have an appraiser do it and make that the list price, or then let the seller make the decision after they see the appraised value. Okay, so these are the two things that got me thinking I should make a video and tell everybody you should make a pre-listing appraisal part of every listing presentation. I also talked to an agent the other day who was sort of asking me about the appraisal process and appraisal fees and everything. And he said, in my listing presentation, I want a certain commission, and I'm not inclined to negotiate on my commission. I want to hold firm on it. But in exchange for that, I like to offer my sellers what sort of, in the marketing world, we would call this a value stack. But he presents his sellers with with all the value that he brings to the table for the commission that he wants to make. And part of that is he gets a pre-listing appraisal on every single listing. And it's pretty smart, because as agents, we work off a percentage of the sales price, but your appraiser works off a flat fee. And you can almost always, from a business standpoint, you're almost always coming out better being able to maintain the level of commission that you need when it comes to paying for various expenses. I don't know if I said that right, but if you think about it, it'll make sense to you. So those are a couple points. I've been thinking about this a little bit lately. Obviously, I don't have to pay for appraisals, except sometimes I do pay people to give me objective opinions on my listings, and especially on my own personal investments, because I guess maybe doing this has instilled me with an appreciation for the objectivity part. When I'm flipping a house or doing a development deal, I start to get dollar signs in my eyes about how much money I might make, and that sort of bias starts to affect my decision making. And so it's really, really valuable to me to have another appraiser put eyes on this, who's only going to make this one flat fee off of doing this work, and really sort of check my expectations and bring me back down to earth if I need to be brought back down to earth. I find it extremely valuable. So those are a couple points and sort of what I think are in favor of doing that. I really do think it would be in a seller's best interest, especially, to do these pre-listing appraisals the same way we push buyers to serve themselves by getting a home inspection, because your appraisal is going to do a professional measurement, and so they're going to know how big the house is. Your appraiser is going to have an objective opinion of value for them. They're going to present you with an array of comparable sales in the appraisal that you can give to your lender. Unlike a home inspection, which is at best just going to make you feel good, make your buyer feel good about the property they're going to buy them. Best case scenario on an appraisal is the house. They show you that the house is bigger than you thought it was going to be. That's more money potentially. They might clue you into a zoning, something in the zoning that's more favorable to you, that might give your seller another option about what can be done with the property that might be more valuable to them. That's more money in their pocket. They might come back with an appraised value that's way higher than either of you ever expected to sell it for. More money in your pocket. You don't get those sorts of benefits with the other expenses that we are accustomed and ready to pay for in any real estate transaction. So the two exceptions are: you may not need an appraisal if you are dealing with a very homogeneous data set. That's appraisal lingo for you're dealing with a subdivision house and you got 6 comps that are exactly like it. If your listing has 6 comps that are exactly like it, you know the price. And your appraiser knows the price. Your appraiser can still do an appraisal on it. There might still be a scenario where your appraiser finds some comps outside the subdivision, or sees some merit for going outside the subdivision that affects what you might list it for. But if you've got 6 comps that are all exactly the same as your subject, you don't need an appraisal. Let's be real. The other reason that you might not need an appraisal is you've got a seller who knows their price. They won't listen to you, and they won't listen to an appraiser. Nothing's going to change their mind. Don't waste your money on a pre-listing appraisal. Now, the caveat to that is, if you've been doing this a while and you've never dealt with one of these sellers before, you're probably going to need a post-listing appraisal, because this house is going to sit on the market and nobody's going to buy it. And eventually, you're going to convince your seller to hire an appraiser to give them an objective opinion of what this place is worth, and then y'all can address where you want it to be listed at. So, 2 situations where you might not need a pre-listing appraisal, but one still might serve your best interest and give you some peace of mind, and give you some credibility and authority with your seller to get yourself paid in the end. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. It's not really any secret tips in that one today, but I really did like that that other agent's ideas on why they do pre-listing appraisals and the value they think that brings to their listing presentation. Certainly, at the minimum, you could do professional measurements as part of that, and I have a lot of agents who do that, because again, you're either finding out facts you need to know, or you're finding out additional size that's going to make your people more money, and it's a minimal expense. But if we can ever help you with any of that stuff, you can find us on appraiserpool.com for appraisals, professional measurements, or listing consultations. Like if you got some sort of weird thing going on and you need just a quick phone consultation up to an hour or so, you can schedule that on there. And if you haven't already joined our Facebook page, I would love for you to do that. We have great conversations on there. I can address questions on there that sort of everybody gets to see and can go back and reference for their own edification on their own time. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you haven't liked and subscribed, I'd love for you to do that. And we will see you next week. Bye.